Supplies I'm using for this card is this holographic vinyl from Dollar Tree, some glitter vinyl, and some of their die cuts or cutting dies. They've had these, a few old ones and some new ones. The hearts are older, and then the leaves, and then the scallops. This is a new stamp set that Dollar Tree's carrying. Then I've got this glass pen that has some ink with it, and we're gonna try to do some hand lettering. The first thing I did was laid out the vinyl on top of a piece of white cardstock. I used Nina white cardstock, 110 pound. And then I cut this out just to make it fit on just one side of it. I didn't need a big piece because I was gonna be die cutting from it. Some of the pieces got a little bit folded, but I was able to smooth those out with my hand. If you go slow, kind of pull the backing off as you go, it's not too hard to apply. Taking out these dies for the first time, they stick pretty good to the backing, so I just peeled that away, and I tried cutting it with my scissors. That didn't work. So I used some wire cutters. That worked. I was able to take all the pieces apart pretty easily with that. Just running this through my die cutting machine, and I did have to run it through a couple of times back and forth, just to make sure it cut through all the way. But it makes these cute little rainbow looking cutouts. I was able to peel away most of the rainbow shapes from the scallop, but for the little dots, I used this Dollar Tree pick, just a little pointy tool, got the rest of those dots out. On that same vinyl covered cardstock, I went ahead and cut out some leaves and these little berry looking branches. The leaf shape, I had to kind of press the seams a little bit, but then after I got one part started, it came out really easily. For this next purple covered background, using the purple glitter from Dollar Tree, I just measured it out, stuck it back to the white cardstock, another piece of 110 pound white cardstock. Then I ran it through my die cutting machine again. This time I wanted to put some dimension. This is gonna be my background piece. This is Tim Holtz folder. It's a 3D embossing folder. This had some really nice dimension. It almost looks like a stained glass. And then you could take the backing off and try sticking it on, but I didn't want to lose the dimension, so I decided to put some glue on the back instead with the backing still on the vinyl. Attached that to my card base, and now I wanted to make some really pretty watercolor effect flowers. So using this stamp set, I started with the biggest one and applied some Distress Oxide ink, the picked raspberry and the spiced marmalade. I ended up dabbing it on with my blending tool just because I really wanted a soft color, didn't want a lot of extra ink. I used this mini mister with water, just spritzed it, and then pressed it onto the watercolor cardstock. This is Canson watercolor cardstock, 140 pound. You can get that from Michael's, pretty common. Turned out really pretty, just a little bit of the actual stamping showed through, but there was a lot of the watercolor effect. And then I wanted to layer up like a bouquet of flowers. I rubbed my finger on it first this time, just to try to see if it holds the ink a little bit better. First time you're using it, helps with the oils that come on the stamp set. Did the same thing. This time I added a couple of colors. I added a Wilted Violet purple color and this Twisted Citron green color. These colors worked really well together, and I love the little dots, how the really little purple pieces look like watercolor dots. The stamps clean easily with some water and a little rag. For the next one, the smallest one, I did still want to use the purple on the little dots. Then I used the pink and the orange for the flowers. I used several layers just to build up that color. It really helped with the softness, but it also brought a little more vibrance with using a few more layers. My favorite part is seeing how the colors blended together. These look really nice. Since these stamps don't come with coordinating dies, I hand cut out around the flowers and the little pieces. This bigger flower was the easiest one to cut out. It had a really nice clean shape around the outline like a border. Something I thought was really cool about these stamps, although the watercolor effect kind of takes away from it, is they have little dots, almost like what you would see in a graphic. So it really would pick up on the colors and the little dots. You can almost see it in this one on the right hand side. I thought it was a very cool textured look. Moving on to this glass pen from Dollar Tree. I'd gotten one before, and I will warn you, they break. I dropped mine accidentally, just fell out of my hand and the tip broke off, just like that. The whole thing is made out of glass, but it does come with this cute little ink jar. So I wanted to see what the ink looked like because I hadn't used the blue before. I'm just making a Mother's Day card for this example. You could really use it on any kind of card, like a birthday card or a thank you. I wanted to practice my hand lettering too, so this was a good opportunity. I'm using the same 110-pound cardstock that I used for the card base. On this particular cardstock, I did find that it did bleed a little bit, meaning that it kind of grew as I was writing. The ink kind of spread out a little bit, but I still really liked it. It would be harder to do finer details just because the ink does spread. As I was figuring out how I was going to apply this to my card, I just started by trimming the edges. But after looking at it, I felt like it needed something, a border. So I used those same cutting dies, the smaller scallop this time, and I kind of went with the backwards way of using it, so it looked more like a postage stamp. When I was done cutting out all 4 sides, I noticed there was a little impression left behind from the cutting die. So I used some of these Copic markers that I had lying around in 2 colors of gray. This is the lighter gray. Just kind of traced around the border about where the edge left a mark from the cutting die. This next one is a cooler color gray and a little bit darker. I just used the edge just to do a little detail, almost like a shadow. Copics are an alcohol-based marker, so I went back over it with this lighter gray, and that helps to blend that in. That way that darker gray wasn't such a harsh line. My favorite part is assembling the card, taking all the pieces, seeing what looks good, assembling them, and finishing off the card. So for this first step, I put the base flowers on, and then I just layered up from there. I did use Dollar Tree craft foam to pop them up and give the dimension to the card. I glued on the little pieces, all the leaves. There were about 6 leaves and 2 of those little berry looking pieces that I added. This scallop border added a nice detail to the edge of the card. I only ended up doing this one side because the other side was covered mostly. Next, I wanted to do something to the inside of the card. I used this sentiment from that same stamp set with the flowers. It says sending a card instead of a text. I used StāzOn Ink in jet black, and I used that so that it wouldn't smear off of this shiny surface. StāzOn Ink works really well on shiny surfaces like vinyl or clear plastic or even something like Yupo paper. I wanted to make a background, so I added a couple of those different flowers that I used on the front as the background on this holographic vinyl cardstock. I thought it was so cool that you could still see the holographic colors behind the black ink. The next test was to see if the ink had dried, and it was completely dry, smudge proof, wasn't going anywhere. For the inside design, I cut this piece in half, made it fit inside the card, and then I glued it to either side of the sentiment, top and bottom. I did end up trimming, a little bit of it was sticking out. I did end up trimming the sides of that inside piece. And this is what the finished card looks like. The outside, the inside is very shiny and beautiful. If you'd like to see more crafty videos, I do different card making videos, alcohol ink techniques, jelly plate. I pretty much play with everything. So if you're interested to see what other crafty things are coming out of this craft room, please subscribe. See you next time.